This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, my name is Novo Man, and welcome to the Technology Review Council. We have a really nice group of folks here that are going to be listening to Debbie Gisani and Self Power Now, which is a wellness program. Wellness is a very hot topic these days, and HR technology is, shall we say, the delivery vehicle for that. But what's very interesting, because of the workforce being remote in many cases still, mental health and the well-being of the individual is a very top priority for companies. So I'm very, very pleased to have Debbie here to both tell us about our solution, give a background on what gave rise to this, and if you will, what she expects out of it. So Debbie, you are on, ma'am.
Great, thank you, Nove, and thank you for having me, and thank you all for showing up from wherever you are in the US or around the world. I'm going to actually get started by asking you all to put aside your business hat for a minute, and I want to ask you a question about life. And while you're pondering that answer, I'll pull up my presentation and we can get started with the presentation. So the question I want to ask you is, what is the most important thing, the number one most important thing you want most out of life? So think about that, and I'm going to pull up my presentation and start screening. And if you want to share some of your answers in the chat, that would be great. If not, that's okay. You can keep them to yourself as well. Okay, so the presentation should be on at this point. And while I'm sharing the presentation, okay, I love it already. Is happiness overrated? Never, never. Okay, so we're going to get to that question. Let me just make sure that these are advancing. Oh, it looks like I can't do both at the same time. Okay, we can't multitask here.
I'll watch that for you, no problem.
There we go. There's the question. And I have to say, I've been doing this a long time, and whenever I ask this question, whether it's a one-on-one or a group, I usually get about 1 to 3 common answers. And normally it doesn't take people much to think about those answers. First and foremost, and second is people want happiness and they want to be healthy. They want to be happy and they want to be healthy. The third one I have here is to be loved. Now, not many people admit this in their lives, but the fact of the matter is we spend a lot of time in our life, and probably all of our life, trying to seek love and approval from everyone, from our family, from our bosses, from our peers, from our friends, from our siblings, from our children, etc. So I call that a secret desire, because most people don't say, I want to be loved, right? But they do say, I want to be happy and I want to be healthy. Now, number 4 here over on the bottom is money, because some people will say that money is the most important thing that they want in life. But I venture to guess that the reason why they want money is because they want to be happy, healthy, and loved. So it really comes down to these. I want to see if anybody listed anything else in the chat. Okay, is happiness overrated? No, because we all want to be happy. Contentedness, punctuated by frequent moments of joy. That's another happiness thing. To know that my life mattered. Yeah, this goes into being loved, right? And being happy. So usually whatever people think of for the answers on these, it always comes back to happiness, health, or being loved. Now, here's where money is the right answer. Why do you care if your employees feel the same way? So the thing about being happy, healthy, and loved is that we all have these same desires in life. Whether you're in middle management, top management, it doesn't matter where you're from, Jersey guy, or where your background is, your ethnicity, or anything. We all want those same desires once our basic needs in life are covered, right? Food and shelter. The thing about employees is they're people too, right? They want the same things in life too. But why does it matter to you as HR professionals? Well, it matters to you because it's about money. Here's where money is the right answer, right? Businesses are in business to make money, right? Not to be happy, but to make money. And to make money, you have to have happy and healthy employees. And I have been talking about the bottom line effects and the ROI effects of having happy and healthy employees well before there was any research to be talking about. And now, thankfully, there is a lot of research that show that people that are happier and healthier also feel better about their jobs, they have better skill sets, they're more positive and motivated, and the ROI numbers are in. These are just a couple of research points I just recently came across, one from McKinsey, one from the Work Institute. $1 spent on wellness drops healthcare costs by over $3 and absentee by 2. Voluntary employee turnover, as you all know, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, is up about 2 million annually in the last 4 years, which is not very good. These figures show that wellness programs are important for companies. And again, I know this is a group that understands this. So the bottom line is, if anything saves you money, you're going to make money, right? And if it costs you money, you're going to lose money. But the problem with wellness programs is there's so many of them, and the needs obviously change over time, right? For instance, employees are going to need and have needed a lot of varied well-being options these days. I don't know if anybody remembers the days where the wellness option was a gym membership or a fitness challenge, and now these days the wellness option might be a meditation challenge or meditation classes. But that's really not enough, because this wellness spectrum that we're dealing with right now is a huge spectrum, and employees can be anywhere from just wanting a little motivation and they're self-directed and they can get things done on their own, to someone all the way on the other end of the spectrum who might need some serious mental health counseling or psychiatric health, or perhaps even medication. You just don't know where each of those employees are at any point in time, and you don't know how each of those employees want to, let's say, digest information, or how motivated they are to be self-directed for self-improvement or for their own wellness. And that's why employers need to offer varied well-being options, no matter what's out there. And now with COVID and everything, things have really changed, right? In-person learning is really not as scalable as it was before. We've always had remote employees, and now it seems like everybody's remote, right? And some of them may not be coming back into an office situation. So digital solutions are important. And self-paced content that is easily digestible is also important. That quote on the bottom of the slide comes from McKinsey about digital solutions in wellness, and I'm sure you're starting to see a lot more of those. So perhaps some of the old solutions are not working as well. Perhaps you're in need or looking for new solutions. And perhaps your employees are also looking for new solutions, which I think is the reason why Nov asked me to present at today's group. And again, the slides before, I know I'm preaching to the choir, and I know you know that wellness is important, but where is it important, and for whom, and for how many? So during COVID lockdown, I had sort of an epiphany myself as I realized so many employees were going to be in need of new tools to get through kind of a slump that we were all in, right? To get through mild depression and feeling more self-empowered and feeling good about themselves and their jobs. So I developed a program that I think has a new approach, both in all three: content, format, and delivery. But before I get into that, I wanted to just see, does anybody, let's just take a quick break on the previous slides and see if I've got like agreement about the wellness out there and the need for it, or disagreement, or anything you might want to add.
So you are allowed to go off mute if you have a question.
Yeah, otherwise we won't be able to hear you.
Debbie, I'll pose a question. So, as you mentioned, the wellness programs have been around for a long time. They have been mildly morphing from, let me give you a check to go check your health. Maybe we have a wagon on the premises to do blood checks and so on, and incentivizing you, where now the wellness is much more, to your point, more self-directed. I want to be well because of I need to be, and therefore if I am, and you as an employer giving me the tools, in a sense that's a nice partnership. I'm in charge of,
Right.
but you're giving me the tools. Is that kind of a way to view the wellness programs as you're seeing them today?
Yes, absolutely. Because I think previously wellness programs were like employees are numbers and they need to get better at their professional development. And now we're realizing that work and life, there really is the lines between them are really blurring. And employees need tools to skills for life, for their life. And when they have those skills, which used to be called soft skills, right? And nobody thought they were important. But when employees have the right skills to show up in the world with love and compassion and self-confidence, they make better employees, they make better managers. So those are important tools to have, yes.
So Roy has asked a question here. It's a tough sell, and he's right about that, and I'll go back to that in a moment. Are there stats as to which initiatives are most impactful for the most employees? I'll put my 2 cents behind that and say, I'm afraid that generalizing initiative for a vast population, to your point, everybody is an individual. We have a different need. That's where I think we've made huge mistakes, if you will, about the wellness program, and in some cases, the health benefits we offer. They're too generalized, and we don't have good stats that tell us how people are really using those things. So I'll stop
Right.
there and ask you to go ahead and answer his question as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a tough sell, and the reason why is exactly the reason why Nov was describing, is that we don't know where anybody is in their journey, right? And we can't just lump everybody into one category. And that's why I started with asking the question about your life, because that is the commonality that we all have in life. We all have the same desires in life. It doesn't matter who we are or whether we're employee number 5 or employee number 5,000. The desires are there. And the tools, there are tons of different types of tools that get you to those desires. But it's almost like asking, okay, if somebody wanted to be happy, what's the one book that they need to read to be happy in life? Well, there's thousands and thousands of books about happiness, right? What resonates with that one person might be something completely different than what resonates with another person, right? So you just don't know, but you have to come to an agreement from the very start that we all have the same desires, and those desires are important for your employees as well, because they translate into bottom line results. And there's so much research out there that shows what those bottom line results. I just picked a few for this particular presentation, but in order to drill down anymore, I think it's really difficult. Okay. So let's move on, so we can get through the hour here on Self-Power Now. So let's go through some of these, the content format and the delivery really quickly, so you have a little familiarity with the product. And I'll also do a quick demo for you as well on the back end. So I talked about earlier that content needed to be holistic. What exactly does that mean? Well, we are all people. We are not just needing of a physical challenge or a mental challenge. There's kind of 4 areas that come into our lives all the time that make up who we are. One is the mental area, one is the physical health area, the other is spiritual, and the other is emotional. And don't get caught up on that spiritual term. Basically, all that means is connecting with your own spirit, right? Your own inner strength. So what I did was I developed these courses around those 4 areas. There are 4 courses, each are 6 weeks long. They take a very, very personal, non-clinical approach to storytelling, for instance, and I talk about a lot of my own personal experiences. And I talk to the person as they're a person, not employee number 501. And we don't get into, particularly into business skills, but as I said, these life skills actually are very transferable into all of their business skills. And we also make this very empowering by helping employees self-identify and modify their own behaviors. So someone that that is taking this course really wants to be there, really wants to make those improvements in their life. And just to give you an idea of these 4 courses, I'm not going to go through everything that's on the screen here, and you'll get this presentation. But the mental realm is called Be Happy Now. That's the course that correlates with the mental realm. And that's all about, changing your attitude, having a more joyful life, as some of you, mentioned in the chat room, and kind of reprogramming the mind and the thinking process to be able to get to that point. A lot of people think happiness can't be learned, but it actually can. And there's plenty of research that shows that. The physical realm is the Be Happy Now course. The Be Healthy Now course. Sorry about that. And that is not only about your physical body, but it is about all of your external circumstances, your career, your relationships, your relationship with money, your relationships with people, how you feel about life, how you talk to your doctor. Everything that is in your physical world is covered in the Be Healthy Now course. The second 2 are the spiritual and emotional realms. So Be Zen Now is about connecting to that, like I said before, that inner wisdom, that strength within, the spirit within. It's not religious in any way or whatnot. And the reason why I called it Be Zen Now, it's sort of a take on the word like chill out, And this is a way to overcome challenges in life and be able to, really go through those hurdles with a calm mind, with a mind that knows that you can actually get through a challenge and you don't have to stress out and whatnot. So that's what the Be Zen Now is about. The Be Loved Now is the emotional realm. And this is about showing up in the world and feeling good about yourself. It really starts, right, with self-love. Once you have that quality, you can actually, run a team and help them be more self-confident and more self-loving and show up in the world with compassion and empathy for your employees and for your staff and for other people, which will bring more of that into your life. Because as I said, that one of those secret desires was to be loved in your life. And you can even see by the graphics and all that this is a course that is addressing people at their emotional level. It's not addressing a corporate person. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they're upper management, middle management, individual contributor. It's really talking to people as people in my voice. Going on to the format, one of the things that I've learned from writing books for about 20 years now is that the simpler you make it, the easier it will be to digest, and it'll also be used more. So, and you'll see when we get into the demonstration here, each week starts with an audio and a written essay. They can choose whether they want to listen to the audio or just do the written. That also is backed up by, it could be supplemental materials. These could be articles or even song links. There's playlists for them depending on what the topic I'm talking about, even poems. And they do have home play, what I call home play exercises to do during the course of that week. There are affirmations. These are just some of the examples. At the end of each 6-week course is a guided meditation audio that I take them through. That meditation audio is very, very important to cement the learning material that they've been doing for the 5 weeks prior to that, and even in the 6th week. And it's done through voice and music. The music is very important and very intentful, created, which has binaural beats in it. And those binaural beats are easily set to theta brain waves. I don't know if any of you guys are into that, but I have a background in hypnotherapy, and theta is the state that you're in right before you fall asleep. And that is the state that is where you're most conducive, so to speak, to suggestions, to positive suggestions, to positive change. And that music is encoded with those. At the end of the 6 weeks is also a survey. All of the material takes about 15 to 20 minutes to review, but then they have a little bit more time during the week. I would suggest for companies bringing in these programs to create something fun like a self-power hour, that employees can have during the course of their day once a week to engage into the course, engage into their exercises and whatnot, and make it really fun. And the last area to look at is the delivery. I talked a little bit about this when I was talking about COVID and how everything has changed. So I made these courses on demand and digital. There are no scheduled Zooms. Of course, we can introduce it on a Zoom call and whatnot when we do rollout, but there's not a lot of, you have to be in this place at that time kind of thing. It's private, it's self-paced. They get a weekly email every week telling them the next module is open. If they are social, there's an opportunity on the back end to communicate with some of the other people taking the course, and each company has its own sort of capsule, so they'll only be communicating with people in their own company, and all the content is downloadable. But here's the best thing for you guys is it's very easy employer administration. After the rollout, and we can do several of them during the course of a year just to keep on top of it, but after the rollout, basically you have an access code that you give to your employees, and then they're on their own with the program. And there is a quote there from Workplace Intelligence that talks about, you know, digital technology these days. And I think a lot of employees, especially the younger ones, they actually prefer to interact with a computer than a human. Whereas I'm kind of from the old school. I'm sitting here looking at a computer screen and I really would rather see your faces right now. But so be it for calls these days.
Debbie.
I know. Well, here's a picture you could look at. Maybe about this time you might be wondering, who the heck am I? Well, I've actually had this two parallel careers for the last 20 years, both as a business leader and as a wellness expert. I've had a couple of decades in C-level positions in industries anywhere from high tech to health and wellness to hospitality. And at the same time, about 20 years ago, I started my journey into personal growth and development and started writing books and helping people and teaching and whatnot. So I got certified in life coaching and hypnotherapy, and I've written some books and done a lot of things in the world of happiness. So that's basically a little bit of me. And of course, I could provide more information if anybody is interested. So I see, before we get into the demo, I want to see if there's any questions. Roy has a question. Oh no, that was the old question, so we're good. So I'm going to get into a demo. We can stop very briefly to see if there are any questions up until this point.
Yeah, I would say, Debbie, I certainly have some. I always have questions, but let me ask the audience if they have any particular they'd like to ask of you before getting the demo. And when I allow that silence to continue to reign, I usually step back in. So let me ask an obvious question. Mobile enabled?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So,
the back-end platform is Ruzuku, which is an well-known online training platform. And yes, it's mobile enabled.
I'll save my comments at the end of this. So we usually do a little bit of wrap up, and I like to always give you some hints. But I am curious about the data. So you are offering this on a platform, so you're gathering information. You probably have stats on how many times a particular series is being viewed or used or whatever. Are you able to maybe start to aggregate some data that would have, going back to Roy's question, do we have anything that's saying this is a helpful, not that it's meaningful. Meaningful is irrelevant right now. Meaningful is always going to be meaningful, but has it made an impact? Do we have anything coming from your platform that would provide statistically how impactful this is to the employee population? And in other words, you have a baseline. You're really not establishing a baseline at the start, except on the indicator. So,
basically, the courses were just released within the last month, and during the pre-launch, and I think that's how you and I got connected, right? I said, hey, here's what I'm doing, and I gave people this link that appears on this next page here as a sample, because I wanted to get a lot of feedback from people. And I could share, not in this presentation here, but I certainly have testimonials from people that have gone through these sample modules to talk about how they felt about it. One that stands out very quickly is someone I just spoke to yesterday, and she said to me, and she's a pretty high level corporate person, and she said, Debbie, she said, your meditation made me feel like I had a full body massage. And she was so relaxed. So that's I'm getting comments like that, and also a lot of people have commented about the ease of use, and you're going to see in a moment here as I go into the sample modules how easy it is to just navigate through and obtain the information, digest the information, and the clarity and simplicity of it all. Again, we're not targeting this to people that really need some on the high level of that mental health spectrum, right? Who really need one-on-one counseling, who might need medication or something like that. This is for probably the most common type of person, or I would say most of the people who need a little help, getting through, the ups and downs and work, and who are trying to figure out, where they want to go in life, what's their passion, how do they feel good about themselves, that sort of stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this demo it's only going to take a few minutes. And I just want to point out, because I think you'll all get this presentation, the sample module link there is available to all of you. So when you go to that sample module and you're asked to sign up on Rizuku, you have access to 1 week of content from each of the 4 courses. So you'll have a week of the happy course, a week of the Zen, a week of the healthy, and a week of the loved. So you'll get an idea of how this happens. You're not going to be on a weekly drip system or anything like that. You can access all of the pieces, but it's really meant for HR professionals to say, hey, this maybe could work for my group, or maybe it won't work, but it gives you an example to go by. So let's go to the courses right now, and we'll go to the back end. So this is I guess the dashboard, you would call it, right? And what you see here on the left side is, if this was all one course, you would see the 6 modules, the 6 weekly modules. Instead, what you're seeing is 1 module from each of the 4 courses here. And when they first sign up, they actually get a welcome to the course. I'm going to go to the welcome page here. And hopefully, let's just make sure the audio, I have audio sound on there. Let's see if you guys can hear, like, just a few minutes of the introduction of the course.
Welcome to the Self-Power Now series and the Be Happy Now course. I'm Debbie Gisoni, and I'll be your guide for the next 6 weeks. Being happy is truly a state of mind, and that's why this course focuses on the mental realm and how to retrain your thinking. And in some cases, it helps you to stop thinking altogether. What I mean by that is to stop thinking thoughts that make you feel bad, angry, fearful, depressed, and hence unhappy. Many of these negative thoughts come from false beliefs you may not even know you have. Throughout this course, you'll start to become aware of what belief systems you hold that are creating roadblocks to your happiness, which is the first step in releasing them. You'll start to recognize which beliefs are true and which are false by how they make you feel. True beliefs make you feel expansive, peaceful, and happy. False beliefs do the opposite, making you feel contracted, trapped, small, and anxious. Once you bring those beliefs from your subconscious into your conscious field, you can replace them with positive programming that eventually becomes your reality. So what can you expect each week?
Okay, so hopefully you all heard that, okay? No?
Yep, we did.
Oh, good. Oh, good, good, good. It worked. We had a little technical difficulties when we were trying this yesterday.
I think it was
And
me.
so that's just a little sample of the welcome. And if you saw, there's also, they don't have to listen to the audio if they'd rather read, it's there. But if we look at, for instance, so there's different things in each of these. So each one of these starts with another audio. So for instance, and you'll see kind of the very personal touch we have here if we just listen to a moment here. And this is the particular week that is talking about being a Pollyanna. That's the name of this particular week.
I don't know about you, But I grew up in a family of pessimists who never believed life would get any better than what it was. As such, we were always waiting for that other bad shoe to drop. I remember as a teenager, I announced that I was going to learn how to ski. My father's immediate response was, "What are you, crazy? You're going to break your leg." Now that's what I call true parental support and encouragement. Not. Granted, it was the late 1970s and parenting was a lot different then, but that statement pretty much sums up the way it was in my family. Don't take risks, don't have fun, and don't have hope, because all of these could lead to terrible things: disappointment, injury, stress, embarrassment, financial ruin. My parents believed life was hard, work was hard, and then you die. At least that's how they were during my lifetime. They did have dreams and hopes when they were younger, but life just wore them down and they never recovered. Now, within most families, there's someone who's the fixer, the peacekeeper, the optimist, the Pollyanna. That was me. Despite the pessimistic environment I grew up in, it didn't seem to rub off on me. In fact, it only motivated me in the opposite direction. Maybe I just wanted to prove my parents wrong, but it worked. I made some life and career decisions that horrified my parents, but I believed that underneath their horror, they were secretly proud of me. At least that's what the Pollyanna in me thinks.
Okay, so you see how I use storytelling a lot, which is what I do a lot in my books as well, to get people to a place where they feel like I'm talking to them in their living room, and get them to a place where they can maybe resonate with some of the challenges I had and how I overcame them. The last thing I wanted to show you, and I did include it in here, is I do have one guided meditation, just so you have a feel for what that sounds like. So just to go through these, so we have 1 week in each course, right? And again, all of this is going to be available to you. Here's something like, here's what a PDF information would look like. This happens to be in the Zen course, 12 ways to release stress. And you see here, it gives them 12 ways to release stress. So this is like additional material. Very clean, very simple. And again, they can download those. Okay, so let me do one more thing and go to a guided meditation. And I'll only play this a little bit. I don't want you to fall asleep.
No, in fact, Debbie, I want you to read the Kevin's perspective on your. He says the audio is awesome. Your voice
Thanks.
is so soothing.
Oh, well, if you think it's soothing, wait till you hear the voice on this. Well, you know, one thing we learned as I was, learning hypnotherapy is you actually go into a whole different voice octave when you start to try to hypnotize people. So this particular audio and meditation goes with the Be Zen course because it's about stress release and relaxation. All of the audios, all the guided meditations actually guide people through a body relaxation first to get you most relaxed, and then it goes into the subject matter. But this one actually, subject matter is being relaxed. So you can hear a little bit about this.
Get into a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Take a slow, deep breath in and out, and gently close your eyes and begin to relax. Think about relaxing every muscle in your body. Breathe in and out. Inhale and exhale from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Relax. Notice any tension in your body. Take a slow, deep breath in and out.
Okay, are you all relaxed now? Anyway, the meditations go for about 10 minutes. They're actually not that long either. and there is one per course as well. And so you'll have an opportunity to listen to that as well. The one thing that's not included in this, and this is intentional because a lot of people ask me, oh, are there videos? And I intentionally did not include videos, particularly in the meditation exercises, because I want people to be able to close their eyes and go within. And I also want people to be able to listen clearly to what we're saying on these audios and to read and to internalize that. Video seems to be much more distracting to people where they're looking around and looking at the video. So, oh, I see. Oh, therapist on demand. Yes, that's me. So I did not include video for that reason, because I want people to just listen. In fact, I'll be starting with Self Power Now series. I'm going to be starting a podcast next year, and that will be audio as well. I know a lot of people are doing video now, but I really want people to just listen. So that's a quick sample. Before I move on back to the very end of what the next steps are here, does anybody have any questions on this particular platform or how it would work?
Yeah, Debbie, this is the Jersey guy. I got a question.
Yes.
Is this completely, so it's completely asynchronous, right? There's no feedback anybody gets. It's all motivated by the user. And
Yes.
am I right about that? So there's no coaching involved or anything like that?
No, there's no one-on-one coaching. There is a social component. Here, let me pull
Yeah,
up
you
one of
mentioned that.
these. Yeah, just
How are you, it sounds like you're pretty early on in the game here. How are you pitching this to corporations, and what kind of experience are you running into relative to people understanding the capability and trying to, noodle over whether it's something they might want to do?
right. So this is actually probably the first month I'm starting to talk to corporations about it, quite frankly. As I said, the products just launched, a very soft launch, and about a month ago. And because I also sell the products individually to individuals on my site, so I do both B2C and B2C and B2B.
Oh, interesting.
I have kind of two marketing, things going on. With corporations right now, I haven't done any huge marketing. It's mainly been one-to-one with my database, my connections, my
Gotcha.
LinkedIn and whatnot. So it's really just talking to people. I will say I just spoke to an organization in Chicago that's a HR specific organization, and they're actually bringing it in for their own employees because they want their employees to start talking. They offer services, HR services, and they want their employees to be able to talk about it to their clients and recommend it to their clients, because they do a lot of retention and recruiting, this particular agency, and they felt that this would be a great tool to present to their clients to help in that arena.
Got it.
So these, what I did here is I just scrolled down on one of the exercises, and what you see here is here's where they can actually, and what I say here is feel free to share your experiences and helpful comments with class participants, okay? And the spirit of the course, please make this a positive exchange of information and refrain from using any offensive or negative language. I'll have to be checking this on the back end, of course. I think people that will be taking these courses will probably want to be helping other people in the courses, the participants. And when companies sign up, this is like a capsule is created for your company only, right? So they're sharing information amongst themselves. And I might jump in there too, right? And offer some, somebody might say, hey, has anyone had experience with this or whatever? And then I might jump in and say, hey, try this or whatnot or whatnot. But it's not like this live one-on-one, join a webinar kind of thing. It's all digital and it's all demand. Okay.
Other questions for Debbie? I'm going to reserve mine for a little bit here, and I'm kind of a wrap-up question. So if you have further things that you'd like to show us, that's great. I think
there's just just closing here. Hold on a second. So where would be, here we go. So the next steps from here, obviously, I've given you the link to review the sample modules. The best way to really get familiar with the courses and see if it works, or if you think it's going to work, is, use it yourself. And those sample modules will certainly give you a good sort of taste of what's available to your employees. And if they make you feel better about life, about what you're doing, if it's useful for you, I'm sure it's going to be useful for others, because, as you know, we all have the same desires in life. And then, we could always determine a rollout plan after that. I wanted to put up my email address here, just very simply, Debbie@SelfPowerNow. And this presentation does go a little bit farther. I'm not going to go into it with some more specifics on pricing and a curriculum. But what I'm going to do now is stop sharing and go to discussion. So let me just stop the sharing button here. And here we are, back to the room.
Great.
Great.
Well, first and foremost, thank you.
Yeah. And I hope that wasn't too rushed. I know you had a very slim hour, so I sort of went through that initial part very quickly in terms of the research, because you guys are all professionals in that area, and I know that you've probably seen a lot of this and are also already, preaching to the choir here.
So I certainly, let me open it up to the audience and say, if you've got comments, questions, feedback for Debbie, let's do so. I'll kind of give you mine in a little bit, but let's let the audience give you their unfettered perspective.
Thank you.
Anyone want to share?
They're all asleep.
Oh yeah, with a very soothing voice, as Kevin mentioned. Well, in a sense, I'll start the ball rolling. I have a feeling you will all perhaps have some comments. So number one, I have to applaud your perspective of the audio only is an exceedingly brilliant idea, if you will. And I say that because if I had a wellness program that had videos and other things I have to interact with and so on, I may find that I can't use this unless I'm in the privacy of my home. I can't use it at work. I can't even use it at lunch. However, and I'm going to test this because there are people in the audience who may be working in manufacturing. I could have my iPod and my earphones, and I could be listening on a break. That's it.
Right.
And so the usefulness of the tool, just put in that context, is very high in my mind. It's just, you've approached it in a low tech perspective. People, no video? Why no video? No gaming, no gamification, avatars, and what? No. But it's very personalized, and I like that attitude as well, because it's got a very strong presence. When I'm listening to your voice and I'm looking and if you will, examining myself for all the things you're talking about, that's a great introspective way to kind of sort through my problems. So I like that. I would make a small suggestion. I'm not quite sure if it is a meaningful one, but we've had a couple of questions here about metrics. All of us in the systems area always say, well, how are you going to measure the success? So it strikes me, and then maybe through your background and so on, if you come up with, is trying to find a baseline. Where does no start when this program? Maybe
Right.
feel about these areas. Well, I feel pretty good about this, but blah blah. So you've got a beginning point for me of personalization, if you will, and then at the end of the course, or maybe at stages, you start getting some feedback that might be comparative to the baseline that says you are improving these areas, and so what you're doing is you're kind of fulfilling, that your program is working, and I feel good because I'm making progress. So there might be a two-tier situation where you're getting feedback from me on the course and where I started, and I'm feeling good, and you're getting some stats there that says, this course about Zen is one of my most popular ones, because that seems to be something that people are attracted to, because they normally wouldn't do that, And so,
Right, thank you. I like that two-tier approach. Right now, we have a one-tier evaluation metric. And so at the end of the 6 weeks, there is a survey that they fill out. I didn't put the survey in there because it's not included in the sample modules. It doesn't really make sense to link to that, but I could certainly send people the survey where we go through and we ask them about all the different sections and whether or not it moved the needle for them, right?
yeah, exactly.
And in each area, why did you take this? Did you feel better about yourself? You know, depending on the course itself. So we do have that built in. Now, you can't force people, right, to take surveys, but at the end of each course, you know, I try to make it fun and say, hey, you know, remember to take the survey, and, you know, you're almost done. There's only one more step. I think that's what I say at the end of the 6 weeks. And hopefully by then they'll want to, you know, jump in. It's a really quick multiple choice survey. So it takes them, you know, maybe 10 minutes to do it, not even. So there is something built in, and then I could share that with the organization as well. And it also asks them, hey, how much of this did you complete? 50%, 25%, you know, in each of those sections. And why didn't you complete? You know, were you too busy? Were you not interested? You know, that sort of thing. So it's a pretty complete survey, and that could be aggregated and provided back to the company as well.
Right. And I want to give recognition to Dennis's question. I was expecting that from you earlier, but you did pose it. Data privacy. That seems to be always one of the hottest topics when we're talking about individualized data. Now, it sounds like you're not really necessarily asking much to get to the course, but what I'm asking is maybe a little bit more on that side of, you know, how much personal information do I need to give you to then help measure, am I making progress? Now, I don't suspect that anything I'm going to tell you, how much do I weigh, what's my intellect, you know, whatever it is that you want to ask, is probably not the basis. It's more, how do I feel about myself based on a set of small questions, and how do I feel about myself in that same set later? Yeah, it's kind of a perspective that may or may not touch upon the privacy. But you know, Dennis is quite right. In the HR world, we're running into more and more of this, you know, personal information privacy perspective that is, it's horrendous. it's such
yeah. And I'm not, you know, I'm not sure if giving them a survey right up front would be that enticing. They might already feel, I think it's better to just do it at the end, because I think initially you want them to really feel comfortable with everything. And if you start asking questions about their personal life right up front, that might turn people off right away. And they might say, oh no, I'm not doing this. Someone's going to see this or whatnot. The survey that's on the back end, on the very end, is a little bit different, because it takes them to, you know, a completely neutral platform. And we do say that we're not using names or anything. And there's really, you know, I would never give personal names or anything like that. I don't even know that I can track it back to names. It's more of like, okay, this survey was filled out and here's the data. So I can aggregate the data that way by the number of people who took it and whatnot. But yeah, and it is totally private.
The other question I have is, so when you're doing the B2B process, will people be signing in with their corporate email address, or can I come in on any premise? And how would you manage that or measure that?
Okay, so I guess people could use their personal, because all you need to do is have the access code, similar to the access code that I gave you for the course links. And people put in their address, and then they get to take the course, right? They have to sign up in order to get that dashboard, right? And the way I manage it for corporations is, for instance, say ABC company, okay, decided to do the license for the year, all 4 courses, and they have 2,000 employees they want to give access. So I set up a whole module that has those 4 courses it's, you know, Self-Power Now for ABC company. So only people that have the access code that I gave to ABC company have access to that particular module. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so every company will have their own specific access code, and we could even do separate access codes by group or department if you want to make it that specific. And the other thing too, I wanted to point out, because this came up in terms of the social sharing, you know, some people don't want to share their feelings at all. And so they're not required to do that. And some people do. And sometimes, you know, getting those feelings out, you know, whether or not anybody responds or whatnot, but just kind of getting them out makes people feel better. And again, you know, everybody's an individual here. You've got to look at people as individuals and know that not everybody is a social animal, and, you know, not everybody wants to share, but that option is available to them if they want.
I have a quick question
Oh, I was going to say Jill had a question out here about that, but I'm sorry. Who was Dennis? Is that you?
I just want to jump in on that with one question. So, okay, so they don't actually, if they don't want to actually express their feelings and put them in these text boxes, the question I have is there, and this is one that I didn't get quite there, is there an underlying measurement system going on in the platform that's tracking the frequency of use, the rate that a person may begin and stop a session and that sort of thing, that is not transparent to the user, but again, could be analyzed in the back?
I don't believe Rizuku has that ability. So the way that it is working right now is, for instance, someone will get the first module for Be Happy. When they complete that module, there's a complete button, right? They click on the complete button and they can't move to the other module until they click on the complete button. Now, can they fake it and say, yeah, I just want to get to the next one? And they also can't get to the next module unless the week is open for that module, because we want to give everybody 1 week of material for them to digest. So no, the answer is, I don't think I'm going to be able to say how long people spent on the various modules and whether or not they actually did what they said they were going to do, because that's up to them.
Yeah, well, that's I guess my question. Really, if I go through the entire course, right, all courses, I can go back over different material, right? Or does this just shut off at some point?
Oh, no, not at all. You can go back over any material. It's always available to you wherever you are, your tablet, your phone, or whatnot. And the only thing that's not available is if you're in week 3, week 5 is not going to be available yet, right? But it's always back available to you. And you can download any of those materials onto your device. So if you want to keep those PDFs of those articles, if you want to keep the meditation, if you want to keep the, the audios, any of that stuff is all downloadable onto your own devices.
Okay, that was the key, because I'm going to just presume that Kevin, who made the remark earlier about how soothing the voice was, I would imagine people will stick their fish hook in the water once in a while for a refresher.
Yeah.
And
right, and we want people to do that. I mean, the instructions are to listen to those audios and listen to those meditations as much as you can, because the more they do, the more the patterns can change.
Well, exactly, and that's why I'm worried about the analytics. But if I can download all of that onto my local device and it's not reporting back to the server, I don't feel as exposed vulnerably.
Right.
I'm worried about the data privacy and the protection issue, and this is really great.
Right. And for organizations, the way it works for organizations is it works on an annual license fee, and then you have access, your employees or however many employees you decide have access to all 4 courses. And the courses go in sequence. We can do them in sequence, which I would prefer, whereas they first finish the Be Happy before they can move on to the Be Healthy, et cetera. Or we can do them as 4 individual courses with 4 individual access points. It depends on the organization. So you have access to those for a full year, but the employees, once they download, they have access to that for life, right?
Mm-hmm. Which I think maybe answers Jill's question over here in the chat that says, in terms of measuring success, is it that this is more of a path people take as a lifelong decision versus an infinite or finite fix?
A finite fix.
Yeah.
It's definitely a path. I mean, anything in self-development is going to be a path. It's not something like, oh, let me just do this one thing and now I'm fixed for life. I mean, we all know this. We're all human beings, right? Things don't happen that fast. It's all a journey, and it's all lessons that are learned over time. And without those reinforcements, it's really hard, because we can be going great and feeling like Wonder Woman one day, and the next day, I don't know how many women are on this call, okay, a few, and the next day you feel totally powerless because something happened, something bad happens in your life or in work or COVID or the world, and you're back to square one. And so you can go back to those tools and say, oh, wait a minute, what do I have in my happy bank, which is one of the exercises in the Be Happy module, is to create almost like a bank that you can withdraw from happy memories, right? What can I withdraw today that would make me feel better today? Because it's all about the now, right? And that's why there is the word now at the end of each of these courses, because we spend a lot of time in the future, worrying about the future, or regretting the past, or maybe celebrating the past and regretting what's happening now. But we don't spend a lot of time in the now, and that's the only place change can happen, is right now, in this very moment. You can't change the future, nor can you predict it, and you certainly can't change the past.
Very nice. So I'm going to say to the audience, I'm going to keep the meeting going. I've got a couple of comments I'd like to make to Debbie, and you're welcome to stay. If you have to leave, I certainly understand. Thank you very, very much for joining us today. We'll have more interesting vendors coming through as well. Maybe not quite as interesting as today, but nonetheless, and not as soothing a voice either.
Well, thank you so much. But I hope everybody, checks out the link. Just, copy that link. I think you'll get that right after.
I will be sending out the deck to everyone. You and I talked a little bit about this, but I will send out to everyone, not anybody who just attended, but everyone in our group, the link. So I'm hoping you get some really good feedback and some.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, regardless of whether or not you think it works for your organization, I would love some feedback on your personal experience with those 4 modules, because that's important to me, and I'm collecting a lot of those right now. And so far, I'm getting a kick out of what people are saying. So
perfect. Well, thank you. And I'd like to say, if you can stay for a little bit, Debbie, we'll just kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm kind of curious about a perspective, and it's more, I see it because of my grandkids are living with us here, because my family, they're having their house renovated. So my office is a bedroom for the kids in the night, and my office is during the day. But I'm seeing, because of the COVID effect and the hybrid schooling and all the stuff, the disassociation with friends and so on, have you thought that your module might be appropriate for something like this for a kit orientation?
Yeah, you and I actually spoke about this once before, and as it exists today, no, I don't think it's it's not that it's not child appropriate. I mean, there's no profanity in it or anything like that. But I don't think the material would be very interesting to kids. I think for kids, you'd probably have to create something that's a little bit more interactive, right?
Hey,
Bruce.
Oh, let me jump in on that. That's a great question. And I work with a nonprofit that focuses on social emotional learning in schools. And I see the definite connection between all the kind of corporate wellness programs and the hope to get more emotionally intelligent employees somehow. And this whole notion of social emotional learning in schools, which is a very hot topic all across the country. And you've got organizations, nonprofits, for-profits, trying to figure out how do you come in to schools, to Nova's point, with kids who are more suicidal now, have more drug addiction problems, et cetera, and are going through this pandemic and struggling greatly, as are their teachers. And I think the connections there is a lot of movement, and there are some online things. I mean, it's a very fractured environment in public education in terms of vendors and things, not unlike what it is in corporate as well. But there are folks out there thinking about these things, and I think there's an obvious connection, and it's certainly worth exploring.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
Your premise, the framework, and much of what you've done is highly applicable. Again, like I said, the audio only, very, very, I think, well suited for children. And like I say, I mean, the content may need to be either, I hate to say dumbed down, but changed in its context about the approaching, using some terms that may be, and I'm not even sure what age bracket you'd want to do, but I would say that in the high grades of elementary through maybe the early high school is that very trying time right now, or change of single teachers to multiple teachers, a different school, a different pattern of things, just things all confused with the world of COVID.
Right. So you're talking about maybe students 8 to maybe 16. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking along those lines. And Bruce might be. So Bruce, if you've got a time, just shoot over to me. I've got all your stuff, so maybe I'll just put you and Debbie in connection there. If
That's
works.
great. Yeah, that would. I'd love to share what we're thinking about with the nonprofit I work with in Santa Fe. But there are loads of folks.
And Bruce, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't want you to leave without knowing this. First of all, I have a lot of background in nonprofit. I've run a lot of nonprofits, so I understand the workings of nonprofit, and I applaud you for working with them. I'm also talking to nonprofits and offering some really special ways that they can incorporate the program into their membership or whatnot for a very, very different, price point than corporate, or sometimes even free. So if you want to talk to me offline about that, we can talk about that. Just email me and we'll get into that. But I just want to make sure that I mention that because I'm a very big proponent of nonprofit.
Yeah,
super.
And then the only other thing I was going to mention, other than, like I say, I love the platform, and like I say, you've struck upon, as a technologist, I was looking for the gizmos, and I'm saying, simple is better sometimes.
Hey, look, I was in the high tech market for 15 years in the magazine publishing end, and it's simple is better. You're right.
Yeah, and so the thing I'd like to introduce, and I'll do that same thing. Unfortunately, one of the audience folks, Bobby Baggio, longtime friend as well, forgot her, is the CEO of a platform called Perks, Perks. And they do showcasing of benefits in a virtual sense. And she's traveling around the country talking about the platform. And so she's looking for partners to join the platform as the modules. And so I'll make an introduction between the two. I think that might be another wonderfully great way to get your product out there.
Yeah, as you and I spoke of, for me, being sort of a single entrepreneur here, it would be wonderful to partner with platforms that are already there, where they want an additional piece. They want a digital piece or whatnot, and they've already got a base of clients and whatnot. So that would be a very advantageous thing for me to do.
Okay. And then the last thing is, so what's the roadmap look like? What are you having other modules? Are you thinking of a new, where are you extending this, if at all?
Well, of course, I was thinking about children, maybe even teens, but that'll take a while. I'll need to get into that next year, and I'll have to see if the demand. But we've got to get these going first, and I'm basically launching an entirely new product line here, both for the consumer market as well as the corporate market. So it's going to take me at least 6 to 8 months, I think, just to do this, just to launch it. The writing part for me and creating, that was the easy part. Now it's all marketing. So I'm talking to digital marketing experts and looking at various ways to promote, including, launching a podcast in the middle of all this as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
Open like a true CEO.
Yeah. The podcast will be a little bit more vertically targeted towards women empowering women, because I have a big passion around that. And I think conversations with other women on that would be fantastic. Although anybody can listen.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there is a Women in Technologies group. I'm sure you are aware of that.
WIT, I spoke to that group years ago. Yeah.
They are gaining significant notoriety and are being invited to conferences and that, so you could easily be one of their speakers. Easy enough.
Yeah. I don't have any. If you have any connections there, I'd love an intro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but years ago I spoke at that group when I first left high tech back in. Now I'm going to date myself, back in the late 90s, 2000, around 2000. Yeah.
You were very young then.
I was a child CEO.
There we go. Any other questions for those of you who have so diligently and so nicely stayed. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
If not, I will say again, thank you very, very much, Debbie. I couldn't think of, like I said, a better person to start our hiatus and journey back to the table here.
Great.
This was
Thanks,
an
Debbie. Very,
inspiring.
very informative.
Yeah.
Very informative.
Thank you. Thank
Look
you.
forward to talking to you later.
All righty,
Okay.
and I'll send the
Bye-bye,
deck
everyone.
out if you don't mind. You had it in Google Docs. Did you send me the actual deck itself without being in Google?
Yeah, you have the PDF in Google Docs, yes.
Okay, I'm going to download that and send that out with the.
Yeah, I could resend it if you don't have it, that's fine. And then you'll give me access to the recording as well, right, Nov?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great.
All righty, well, thank
Wonderful.
you again very much. Very best of luck. Anything we can do to help, let us know.
Great. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.